So, bienvenidos a todos. Welcome, everyone. This is a press conference to oppose the SB 151 anti-sanctuary bill. This is a bill that was introduced in 2011, 2016, 2017, and has been resoundingly rejected by Wisconsinites. The only driving agenda behind these national copycat bills is the private prison industry. And it is shameful that as Christmas approaches, this is the kind of bill that would be introduced. This is a bill that separates families, it promotes racial profiling, it goes against what Wisconsinites really need, which is real solutions that value the dignity and contributions of Wisconsin's immigrant working class families. And given the state of that we live in today with the Trump administration and all the harm that is happening to immigrant families, asylum seekers, it is unconscionable that yet again this bill is being introduced. This bill is going nowhere. It's going to get vetoed by the governor, who has been unapologetic in his support of immigrant working class families and everything that they contribute to this state. And we're here to say, shame on you, really, shame on you. And we're going to keep working to advance local protections that uphold the dignity and keep families together and promote public safety. And we're going to be working as Voces de la Frontera to make sure that people turn out for the 2020 elections, because we need real solutions and not this shameless promotion of division and hatred against immigrants. So the first speaker, we have a nice cross representation of people with us today. First speaker is Representative Jocasta Samaripa, who represents the largest Latino population in the state of Wisconsin and has been a tireless champion before coming to state office and continuing in her role in state office to be a voice for working class families, and in particular a voice for immigrant working class families here in Wisconsin. So let's give Jocasta a nice round of applause.
Good morning, I'm State Representative Jocasta Samaripa, and I'm proud to be here today with members of Voces de la Frontera and other leaders here in our community. I know Forward Latinos here as well, and MALDEF leaders. We're here in opposition to Senate Bill 151, this so-called Sanctuary Cities bill that will be detrimental to every single Wisconsinite, to the public safety of every single Wisconsinite. Whether you're an immigrant or a fifth-generation U.S. citizen, this bill is detrimental by threatening our local governments for having policies in place that encourage cooperation between immigrant communities and law enforcement. To penalize them for that is to decrease the public safety of all Wisconsinites. And so I'm proud to sit here today with Cristina Ortiz and so many leaders here from our community to say that we're absolutely opposed to SB 151. As Cristina already mentioned, this bill continues to fail time and time again under Democrats, under Republicans. Nobody wants this bill, and we know full well it's going nowhere because Governor Evers will not sign this bill into law. And yet the Republican legislative majority continues to want to further this anti-immigrant, anti-Latino agenda. Unfortunately, that is going strong under President Trump, but we are going to push back, and we're going to kill this bill yet again this year. So thank you for being here today. I look forward to the testimony on SB 151, and I encourage folks to call their legislators and tell them, don't support SB 151, the so-called Sanctuary Cities bill. Gracias.
Estoy aquí, es mi honor estar aquí con los líderes de la comunidad para también rechazar esta propuesta de ley antisantuario que está prohibiendo que gobiernos locales o policía pasen pólizas que realmente van a abrir la colaboración entre la comunidad inmigrante y la policía o gobierno local. Y sabemos que el gobernador Evers va a poner un veto, esto no va a seguir adelante, pero es importante aún mandar un mensaje a los representantes en la legislatura estatal, comunicar con ellos para decirles rechazamos esta legislación que es tan cruel.
Gracias.
Our next speaker is Interim Madison Police Chief Vic Wall.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Acting Chief Vic Wall, WAHL, of the Madison Police Department, and I'd just like to give my perspective on this issue briefly. MPD does have a policy in place that really limits the circumstances under which our officers will engage in immigration-related enforcement activities. We've had that policy in place for many years, and the reason is pretty simple, is that we think it benefits public safety. And as a chief, that has to be my number one job, is public safety of our community. And to be effective at improving public safety and improving quality of life for our citizens, we really have to work in partnership with all members of the community. It's a requirement, and that's the only way to be effective. Now, when we are interacting, and any local law enforcement interacting with the immigrant community, we have some particular challenges in building relationships and developing trust. And at MPD, we work very hard to build those sort of relationships. A law that would remove our discretion to determine how we do business, and that would in effect require us to enforce federal immigration law would really have a chilling impact on our ability to develop those relationships, to build trust, and to work with all of our community members. Now, as a police chief, I need all members of the public, including the immigrant community, to be willing partners working with MPD. I need people to report crimes. I need people to be witnesses. I need people to work as partners with MPD as we try to improve the city. And requiring us to do these sorts of things would clearly have an adverse impact on public safety for everybody and all members of the community. So clearly, improved trust between the immigrant community and local law enforcement is critical to everybody's public safety. That's why we have our policy in place. That's why we've had it in place for many years. And that's why we think it's very important to keep the status quo with how we do business in Madison. So I'm hopeful that this will not gain any traction, that we'll continue to have local control over how we do business and police our city.
Como jefe de la policía en Madison, el departamento, nosotros tenemos una póliza actual que limita nuestra actividad de enforzar las leyes de inmigración, y lo hacemos y lo hemos tenido esa póliza por muchos años, y la razón es simple, porque nuestro papel principal, mi papel principal como jefe de policía es la seguridad del público, y esto es la mejor manera de asegurar que eso se hace en una manera efectiva y que va a mejorar la calidad de vida de todos los que viven aquí en Madison, porque necesitamos la participación, la confianza de todos en la comunidad, y específicamente con la comunidad inmigrante tenemos que ganar la confianza de trabajar con la policía como testigos, de reportar crímenes, de colaborar con nosotros para asegurar que la ciudad es más segura para todos. Nosotros estamos esperanzados que esta propuesta de ley estatal no sea implementada, porque eso quitaría nuestra discreción de cómo manejar las relaciones con la comunidad, y que y esa discreción local es muy importante. Thank you. Our next speaker is President of the Madison City Council, Shiva Bidar.
Good morning, buenos dias. Shiva Bidar, S-H-I-V-A-B-I-D-A-R, President of the City of Madison Common Council. Here representing the City Council and also our Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway, who wasn't able to join us today, but certainly is also in full opposition of this proposed Senate Bill 151. I want to thank our acting police chief, Vic Wall, for his words and for the continued support through their policies and practices that the Madison Police Department has shown to our immigrant community. And I want to specifically talk about the importance of local control. As a local elected official, I know that I understand and represent the values of my community, the city of Madison, a community that has been a welcoming community to immigrants, who has spoken loudly and clearly about our continued support for those of us who are immigrants in this country and who have brought so much to the city of Madison. We feel as local elected officials that our policies represent the values of our city, and we're best placed in making sure that we continue to voice the support of the residents of Madison for these type of policies. Again, we don't see any value in the state representatives to be telling us how to run our city. We understand it. We have collaborated with the immigrant community and made sure that we have heard their voices. And again, as Chief Wall so eloquently expressed, the trust between our law enforcement agency and our immigrant community is paramount to the safety of all residents of the city of Madison, and we have invested a lot of time and energy in building that trust to make sure that all residents of the city of Madison feel welcome. So again, we hope that this bill goes nowhere. We want to thank Voces de la Frontera for their continued advocacy on behalf of the immigrant community. And I want to say very clearly that everybody, todos son bienvenidos aquí en la ciudad de Madison, whether you're documented, undocumented, just arrived, have been living here for generations. This is your city, and I'm proud to represent every one of you as a member of our city. I can say it quickly in Spanish, a summary version of it. Soy Shiva Vidal, presidenta del Consejo Municipal de la Ciudad de Madison, aquí representando la Ciudad de Madison y nuestra alcaldesa Satya Rhodes Conway, que no pudo estar aquí, pero que definitivamente también se opone a esta propuesta de ley anti-inmigrante. Como Ciudad de Madison sabemos que nuestra comunidad inmigrante es muy importante para nuestra ciudad. Hemos tenido leyes y prácticas que siempre han apoyado a la comunidad inmigrante aquí en Madison, lo seguiremos haciendo. Creemos que es muy importante que se nos deje estas decisiones a nivel local, porque somos los que sabemos lo que necesitan nuestras residentes de nuestra ciudad de Madison, y vamos a seguir apoyándolos, y queremos dejarles claro que todos son bienvenidos aquí en la ciudad de Madison, y que seguiremos luchando por los derechos de nuestra comunidad inmigrante.
Our next speaker is Reverend Jennifer Nordstrom, who is with the Unitarian Universalist.
My name is the Reverend Jennifer Nordstrom, first name Jennifer, last name Nordstrom. I serve as the senior minister of the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee in downtown Milwaukee, and I'm grateful to be here following the lead of Voces de la Frontera and opposing Senate Bill 151. Speaking as a person of faith and as a minister, in our congregation, our sanctuary is a place of safe haven for our people. The word sanctuary means to my people a place to rest, a place to feel connected and welcome and safe. And as many congregations around the state are getting ready to celebrate Christmas, I am appalled that this would be a time that we would say we do not want to provide sanctuary for some people in our state. It is really disappointing that this is the moment that some of our legislators choose to introduce this kind of bill, when this should be the time of year where we're welcoming people and saying this is a place you can feel safe, this is a place you can feel at home, our cities are a place where you should be. I think we should remember that the Holy Family was a refugee family. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph were fleeing Herod's tyranny, And at this time of year, we need to be asking ourselves as Wisconsinites, are we the people who says, there's no room at the inn? Or are we the people who say, welcome all immigrants, you are safe here? I hope that people will choose to oppose this anti-family, anti-safety Senate Bill 151. Thank you.
En este momento, cerca de las Navidades, les quiero recordar que esta propuesta de ley antisantuario, nombrado antisantuario, es algo que realmente es triste, que hay legisladores estatales que han decidido este momento antes de las Navidades de introducir una propuesta de ley que es antifamilia y antiseguridad. Santuario, como una iglesia de santuario, para nosotros representa un lugar que es seguro, donde todos están bienvenidos, un lugar de descanso. Y eso es lo que nosotros queremos que todas nuestras ciudades sean. Y que especialmente en este tiempo de Navidad consideremos que la familia en la Biblia de José, María y Jesús era una familia de refugiados. Y queremos mandar ese mensaje que en nuestras ciudades todos los inmigrantes están bienvenidos. Our next speaker is Rabbi Laurie Zimmerman from Congregation Sharei Shamayim.
My name is Laurie, Laurie, Zimmerman, Zimmerman. I'm the rabbi of Congregation Sharei Shamayim here in Madison, Wisconsin. We are one of 3 synagogues in the city, and my community stands proudly with Voces de la Frontera and Wisconsin's immigrant communities. I come from a family of immigrants. I grew up on stories of closed borders, of injustice at the border, and of much, much pain. And our community is in much pain as we see Wisconsin's immigrants being attacked. And Senate Bill 151 is attacking Wisconsin's immigrant families and our neighbors, and we are speaking up loudly and clearly against this hateful legislation. The Hebrew Bible calls on us 36 times not only to welcome the ger, the immigrant, but to love the ger, the immigrant. And we stand with Wisconsin's immigrant families. We learn, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. It's not enough to love, but we must stand together. As the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah comes this Sunday night, it teaches us to have courage and to stand up for our principles and to fight for justice. So I hope you will join with me in fighting Bill 151 that penalizes and punishes Wisconsin's immigrant families.
Nosotros también estamos muy orgullosos de estar aquí para hablar en contra de esta legislación. Yo soy de una familia inmigrante y crecí escuchando las experiencias, la historia de la crueldad, de injusticia en las fronteras cuando estaban cerradas, y por eso en nuestra tradición, especialmente en el tiempo de Hanukkah que viene, no solamente habla de dar la bienvenida al inmigrante, sino también de amar al inmigrante como uno ama a uno mismo, uno quisiera ser amado. Y también en este tiempo de luchar, de actuar con nuestros principios, de luchar en contra de la justicia. Entonces nosotros estamos aquí para dar ese mensaje, para luchar en contra de esta legislación que está atacando a los inmigrantes aquí en Wisconsin, esta legislación de odio. And Our final speaker, Membratu, has been someone that I've known for many years and who has done a lot of work here in Wisconsin, welcoming refugees from different countries to our state.
Thank you. My name is Fessahay Membratu, Fessahaye, Membratu, Mebrahtu. I am here to witness personally. For many years, I have resettled refugees from all types of persecution and countries. Also, I work in the faith community, but my main witness today is personal. I have lost dozens of cousins and nephews because they were not given sanctuary in countries where they do not have a sanctuary programs. Their organs were harvested, they were sold to slavery, and many of them have lost their lives in the Mediterranean Sea. These are Eritreans, where I come from. The world looks at us to be the model for human dignity. Sanctuary means a sacred space. When you do not have a sacred space, what happens? You create a void for evil and hate. When Moses was told to take off his shoes from this sacred space, he was announcing that God is present there. If we take away this sanctuary, then we are inviting the devil and hate. This is not what we want to be as a nation, what we have been so far. So, from my personal pains, I implore the legislators to be inviting the sacred space rather than to drive away God's presence from among us. Thank you.
Yo he trabajado por muchos años ayudando a refugiados a llegar a este estado y integrarse en la sociedad. Y para nosotros, y también he trabajado por muchos años en la comunidad de fe, y en la experiencia que yo tengo trabajando con refugiados, especialmente el país donde yo vine, que la falta de un santuario que representa un espacio sagrado invita al odio y al mal. Y en países donde no hay un espacio sagrado, entonces ahí es donde vemos las condiciones de cual huyen refugiados a buscar espacio aquí. Personas que han tenido sus órganos vendidos, personas que han sido vendidos como esclavos y personas que han muerto en el mar del Mediterráneo. Nosotros no queremos eso aquí. Nosotros, yo en lo personal, por toda mi experiencia, estoy invitando a los legisladores estatales de que mantengan ese espacio sagrado que invita a Dios, que invita al bien, en vez de algo que va a invitar al daño. Gracias. And our last speaker is Daryl Morin, who is representing Forward Latino, and then we can maybe, if there's any particular questions that the media might have, and then we'll be heading to the hearing, which is going to be in 411 South. And Daryl, do you want to introduce who's with you?
Yes. So my name is Daryl Morin, National President of Forward Latino, DARRYL MORAN. I'm very pleased to be joined by Mr. Stephen Monroy with the Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund, or MELDA, who's traveled to Wisconsin today to testify at the hearings today. So
we'll also be testifying in opposition to this bill.
So very appreciative to MELDA and to Voces for putting together this press conference, to our faith leaders and leaders from law enforcement who've come together from throughout the state to speak in opposition of this bill. We've heard this morning how this bill is an attack on human dignity. We've also heard how this bill will not make our communities safer, but in fact make them more dangerous, creating fear in the community, Wisconsin has always been a place that believes in fair play, that wants to help the underdog. Do we not want individuals in our neighborhoods calling the police when they do see a crime or a house that's on fire or a medical emergency? These are all the questions that we really need to discuss. But the truth be told, we're not here for the legal ramifications. Most of the provisions in this bill have already been struck down by the courts. What we're going to be speaking to today is the motivations behind the introduction of this bill, the motivations of creating fear and further division, and raising funds, quite honestly, for the election to come, based on those fears. It's our position that Wisconsin is best served by representatives and senators who make decisions based on those criteria. We'd rather see legislators advance initiatives that are in the public interest, that are representative of good governance, and would implore them to use their time and their energies that they're wasting on this measure to pass legislation that already has overwhelming support throughout the state. Legislation such as closing the background check loopholes that has led to so much gun violence, and providing families and law enforcement with an extreme risk protection order option as well. So once again, we're just so honored and pleased to be joined with all of our allies here today.
Estoy acompañado aquí con un representante de MALDEF que va a también dar testimonio en la audiencia formal. Y lo que sí quiero decir es que personas ya han hablado de la dignidad del ser humano por razón para rechazar esta propuesta de ley. También en los testimonios se va a hablar como toda la justificación legal. Las cortes nacionales y federales ya han dicho que esta legislación realmente no debe de ser aplicada. Pero más que todo eso, sí quiero decir de que la única motivación política es por ciertos representantes que están buscando esto como una manera de recaudar fondos para su campaña política para estas elecciones. Y nosotros necesitamos legisladores que realmente van a ver el interés de la comunidad, del público, para avanzar legislación que nos va a servir. Por ejemplo, en más regulación de las armas que pueden salvar vidas. Y por eso estamos aquí hoy. So maybe just because as a final segue, what Daryl just said around the kinds of bills we would like to see, as Daryl was saying, and as I know the representative from MALDEF will go deeper in, federal courts have struck down the efforts to try to force local governments to play an immigration role that continues to have been upheld over and over again. And the kind of bills that we need to see are where there's broad support and great need. Israel really is restoring driver's licenses for immigrants. The Dairy Business Association, Wisconsin Farmers Union, Hotel and Restaurant Association, numerous law enforcement throughout the state, and a majority of organizations and communities have for years been asking the state legislature to restore this. This is something that's going to make our roads safer, that reduces racial profiling, and that actually honors immigrant families who every day live with the fear that a simple driving infraction can lead to them being swept up and being taken away from their community and from their families. And while we know that federal immigration enforcement is something that needs to be done in 2021, good immigration reform needs to happen in 2021, and we will be working towards that. In the meantime, we need the state legislature to restore driver's licenses for immigrants, and that's something that is worth a hearing and is worth a vote. It's worth bringing back to Wisconsin. So let's open it up. Mm-hmm.